Alright, moving on to another anti-air and combo tool, but we'll just be talking about it in the anti-air sense because we're talking about neutral, is Ed's primary anti-air. In my opinion, this is his primary anti-air, and that is Psycho Rising. Now, this button this is a great anti-air. It's great mostly because it's just a button press. There's no motion, right? It's like an anti-air DP with no motion, and it does very good damage. I'll show you some of the damage potential of this move. Let me just put my settings back to normal. Alright. So first you have the basic, that's your basic damage. Pretty good meterless, right? Then you have this. Whoop, no, sorry. You can do EX here for a little bit more damage. Not really worth doing EX just by itself. You can't get the follow-up of the regular combos from that. Whoop, bit high there. You can get EXDP. Look at that damage. 2 bars, you get that much damage up an anti-air. But there's more. There is more you can do with this. In V-Trigger 2, you can do some V-Trigger 1 combos as well, but I won't show those. But V-Trigger 2, you can actually get the combo off that, right? Which isn't possible with your regular down B skill. But even more so, if you want to do even more damage than that, you have that. Look at that damage just off an anti-air. It's expensive, but man, that is great damage off an anti-air. What else can we talk about with this move? Okay, it leads to good meaty pressure first and foremost. It leads into your offense, right? You can do a throw, you can get a meaty, basically any meaty you want, no matter what rise they do. You can get what you want. So by being good at anti-air, by being good at anti-airing with this button, you're also helping your offense because it leads into your offensive pressure. That is the most important thing about using this button as an anti-air, is that it leads into a lot of your pressure. What else does it have going on for it? Oh yes, it is also projectile. It's fully invincible from frame 10, which is good to note. But it is also projectile invincible from frame 2. So what does that mean? There's a lot of situations where you can use it to go through fireballs, and it's not the most practical against like normal fireball characters, but against Laura, for example, this is a very important button because you can react to Laura fireballs. If Laura tries to throw a fireball in your face, just KK on reaction. Press KK on reaction, 2 kicks, and she'll really have to think twice about throwing fireballs in your face. It is a very good tool against Laura. Alright, the negatives or the downside to this button is it's 12 frame startup, so it's pretty slow. This is offset a lot by the fact that it doesn't require motion. Another problem is the arc is a bit shallow in senses, and if you whiff this button, they can crush counter you as if it's a DP. So you really don't want to be whiffing this button at all. You need to be very deliberate with it and careful. Okay, just going to talk about regular upper real quick. The only thing I really have to say about this in neutral is that this is your best meter building tool. This gives you, I think it's like 20 meter. So when you get a stun, if you're building meter, this is your best meter builder right here. I see a lot of people doing Spark. The thing with Spark is it gives you 5 meter build. So it's only a quarter of what a regular upper does. So people should be using this. You can use them in conjunction with each other if you perfectly time like how long it's going to take for the stun combo. But regular upper is your best meter build. Onto our next button, or move rather, the infamous EXDP. If I can just turn my meters back on, that would be great. The infamous EXDP. This button is fully invincible. It requires no motion, and that's really the strength of it. You can use this button reactively a lot better than other DPs. That is its core strength, that it does not have a motion. It's a great anti-air, especially against characters like Kami and Ibuki, who I'll put some examples up. I'll put some examples up now, and then I'll keep talking about the button. Some more benefits of this move are that it gives you a very good meaty setup on hit. Right, you get your, on quick rides, you get your kind of jab pressure, or you can do you have enough time to do a throw. You're I believe you're +2 on quick rides and a bit more on back rides. So you get a lot better wake up pressure using EXDP than you do with a regular upper. They've got different knockdowns. So that's another great benefit of it. And look, you get such great corner carry as well. You get 2 dashes worth of corner carry when you hit this move. So that's some good stuff. But one other thing that I'm hesitant to talk about, but I probably should, is because this DP is so slow, you can use it offensively to catch throws and stuff like that, wake up stuff. So when you knock someone down, you can EXDP them on their wake up. I wouldn't really recommend it, but it can work because of how slow the DP is. It catches a lot of options, and in V trigger even better, right? But I wouldn't recommend that, especially if you're newer. It's a bad habit to get, and it's a pretty big read that leads to, if you do it wrong, you're going to get messed up. It's gonna hurt, so I wouldn't recommend that. I just thought I'd talk about it. The problem with this DP is that while we've gone over all the reasons good, it is I'd say it's definitely the worst traditional DP in the game. Because it's so slow, every character in the game can meaty jab Ed and on his wake up, or even during block strings, and still have time to block his DP. As a traditional reversal, it's pretty bad, and you're gonna get hurt using it like that. But it makes up for it in the ways I've already talked about, right? And while I did say that it being forward moving is a big benefit to it, it can also be a big detriment as well. Because sometimes when you want to use it as an anti-air, and they'll just go right over the top because you move too far forward, and then you'll get crush counter punished. So you have to be very careful using it as an anti-air and stuff like that. You have to be very mindful of the forward movement. Charged heavy punch. This move is, first and foremost, I think its main use is to get out of the corner. It's a way out of the corner. You already have a very good V reversal for doing that, but if you don't want to spend meter, you do this, you're -2 on the other side, but you're out, right? You're out of the corner. That is, I think, the main reason you would want to use this move. You shouldn't. I see a lot of newer Ed players using this move just in neutral. They'll be like, you know, around and they'll just do this randomly. It's a bad habit. I'd recommend getting rid of that habit. But we'll stick to the positives for now. I'll get into the negatives of this move in a bit. First of all, it is big damage move. It is a very big damage move. If you get the right spacing, it does so much damage. But the right spacing can be hard. I'll get into that in a bit as well. So you can just do stuff like that. This is a big damage move. When you are mid-screen, if you get a stun, let's put it next to its stun. Yeah. This is more damage than a jump-in move. So if you're doing a mid-screen stun combo, you should use the charged heavy punch instead of a jump attack. The way, as you can see, to get the best spacing for it, although it can be a bit finicky, is to use dash into them and dash back. And that is how you get the best spacing. And as you can see, sure, this is Cammy, but you'll see this is big damage. Yep. So that is your... It's best to use that as your combo starter after a stun if you're at mid-screen. In the corner, you don't want to use it, but mid-screen, you definitely do. Another thing this move can do, might be a bit hard for me to set up, but it can catch jumps. And then you can combo off it, right? So always when you're doing this to like get out of the corner, if you see it jump, be ready to do the hands on the other side. Because you can combo. And you can even go into super. If I can, you know, have the execution to do it. Yeah, it goes into super there. Sometimes it can fall out, but most times it will stay in. So that's another benefit of it. Although you shouldn't be trying to anti-air with it because you can't reactively do this. This is just like a be on the ball ready in case it happens kind of thing, right? The last positive of this move I will go over is that in V-Trigger 2, you can make this move plus. You can cancel it like this. As you can see, combos here. That's pretty cool. If we put it on guard all. This is a true block string here, and you are +2 at the end of it. So this cannot be interrupted. If it blocks, if they block the charge heavy punch, they cannot interrupt it. And it is a true block string. So yeah. Okay, on to the negatives of this move, right? First of all, big startup. It has very long startup time. So people can react to this move. They could see you doing this and they can just jump up in the air. They could like back jump and like punish it. They could do a move that low profiles it or something similar to beat it on reaction. So, and they're usually pretty big punishes. The other negative of this move, or one of the other negatives, is that it's -2 on block. So this, a lot of people I see, they don't know how to get in, so they just throw a Hail Mary, they do this move. When you do this move, and they block it, you are not in. You are -2, and you are really not in. This is especially dangerous against characters like Zangief or other grapplers, anyone with a command grab, because you've just put yourself into a mix-up essentially. So that's one of the reasons it can be such a bad habit. You're putting yourself into a mix-up by having it blocked, let alone if they punish it, you know what I mean? And the odds of it hitting are usually pretty small because of how big startup it has. And like you saw earlier, one of the other downsides of this move is the spacing makes it... See, as you can see, I get the air reset here, but if I'm a bit closer, I get the ground combo. It is... What your maximum damage combo is off this move is very spacing dependent. But there are combos that will always work. And an example of that is you can just do a rising like this. That's a good basic meterless combo that will work at any spacing. If you have one bar, you can do that, you know, something like that. If you're in V trigger, you know, something like that. You need to be aware of the spacing at which you hit this move in order to get the maximum potential damage out of it. So just something to keep your eyes out for. Alright, on to the last special move that I'll be talking about. Psycho Spark. Well, and the Fireball Psycho Shot as well. Now Psycho Spark is 34 frame startup, which is pretty fast. And as if you watch the super meter down there, as you see, it actually builds meter, which is interesting. It builds meter. This move kills projectiles. If they clash with it, it will absorb one projectile. And it can cancel obviously into his Psycho Shot Fireball, but this move, Ed's Fireball is good in ways. Its strength is that it's two parts, because when you do this, you still have a lot of time to not do the follow-up, right? So what this means is you can do this and you can be looking for a jump. And if they jump, you just go like that, right? You can bait jumps, you have more time to react to jumps. And if they do nothing, just throw the fireball, right? Just throw the fireball. So Ed kind of has a fireball game. You need to be able to throw fireballs with Ed, but it can be really scary. To get into the negatives of Spark, every time you do a Spark, that's your regular hurt box standing, right? This is what you're like normally. When you do a Spark, your hurt box is double your standing hurt box. You're double your hurt box, right? And it is very easy for people to whiff punish this button, incidentally or deliberately. This move won't trade well, if at all, with anything really. If someone tries to hit it with something, they're usually going to win. And if you're in the middle of throwing the fireball, you're going to get crush counted. You can get crush counted very easily using this move rather. So throwing fireballs at this range, like very close, is a very scary thing to do with Zed, just because of how big his hurt box gets, how easy it is to be whiff punished. I think you want to throw fireballs more at further ranges and like kind of bait out the jumps. Kind of like optimal jump range is where you want to be throwing fireballs, I think. As a general rule, there's always exceptions, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't throw fireballs up close. It's just dangerous, kind of thing. But moving on to the fireball itself, one thing to note is EX Fireball gives you a very good meaty setup on hit, so you should be using that. I was wondering what happened. I have no meter. Let me just put that back to normal. Yep, you get very meaty setup off of a EX Fireball on hit. And you can delay your shot to kind of like frame trap, really. I'll show you a good example of like a frame trap shot. The fact that you can delay between the spark and the shot gives you a kind of manually timed frame trap. I'm gonna do this, right? See, that's a block string there, right? But you can delay your hit, right? And then she got counter hit by that. I can react to the counter hit and combo in the corner. Oop. Right, that's just like an example of how it can be used for counter hits. And you can do these counter hits mid-screen, but they just don't have the follow-up that you get in the corner, right? So that can mess with people's timings and stuff like that. That's another part of the fireball that is a bit useful. But what I should talk about is the corner pressure this move brings. Let's get to the corner. This EX Fireball is +8 on block, which is huge. +8 is huge. So you can see in my other videos that I've made, I have all these kind of setups that you can, when you do this, you can shimmy. You know, you've got your shimmy, you can just do another throw right away. You can frame trap with another like crouching heavy punch if you want. You can do whatever you want if you make them block an EX Fireball in the corner. And it's really important. I always tell a lot of ed players that ask me for tips, I'm always like, you gotta use EX Fireball in the corner to continue your pressure. Very, very good. Very good stuff. One thing that I will say about Ed's Fireball, the final thing I'll say about Ed's Fireball is they're all very fast, as you can see. That's the slowest one. That's the fastest one. Pretty similar speeds. And this is, it can make it hard to follow up on pressure, right? Usually if you try to follow in a Fireball, you're usually minus, or you can't really effectively follow up a Fireball. Even the EX can be a bit, you know, a bit rough to follow in. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. One of Ed's fundamental problems that everybody knows about is he does not really get whiff punishes, and this is both true and untrue at the same time. So first I will demonstrate the problem, which is we're going to have Alex doing this, right? And we're going to whiff punish this. As you can see, he has no cancels that reach in situations like this, right? So that's the first problem, right? Where people are like, oh, he can't whiff punish. One workaround to this is if you have super, you can combo any whiff punish into super, really. Oh, gonna trade. Oh man, I'm being way too early. Hold up, let me. There we go. You can combo any whiff punish into super, which is nice. So that is part of where it's untrue, right? And the other thing you should take into account is you should take what you can get. Just because you don't get some massive combo, you know, or like some proper combo into a knockdown, it doesn't mean you shouldn't try to whiff punish. You take what you can get. Alex does this, see it whiff, you just take the medium punch, you know? Just take the medium punch. Maybe you can do a heavy punch, you know? That's... You shouldn't be dissuaded from trying the whiff punish because you don't get a big reward. You still need to. That's the first thing. The second thing is, there are context-specific situations where Ed can, in fact, do a proper whiff punish. And I'll just show a brief one right here. I have it pre-set up. See? It's just you have to know these things, where stuff like this is going to work. As you can see, here is a situation where Ed can effectively whiff punish. But you need to practice these things. Like, you need to know, you need to understand, you need to have a good understanding of spacing to know when to go for things like this. Because if you do this and it whiffs, you're in big trouble. You are in big trouble. Even EX hits wasn't really worth it because it only hit with the end of it, so it didn't do much damage. But you get a better setup of the XDP. So yeah, that's that. That's my basic neutral guide for it. Hopefully at least one person found it useful. Yeah.